Optibotimus coming with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Masters of the Universe Classics Fisto figure from Matty Collector. Now again, they're putting different names on these boxes. This one particularly says Subternia. I guess that's a way of keeping the trademark, which I don't know why they have to actually put it on something. I don't know why they just can't have it and not have to put it on something. I mean, I don't see Hasbro doing that. That's kind of strange. But your typical white mailing box. Open this up. Now this one I've actually already opened and I've had a problem with this. This one also does not come with the tissue paper, but for some reason this is really, I mean, you guys are watching this, I mean this is really tough for me to pull out. I mean, now in doing so, my thought process is, and this is, well, I mean, number one, I just squished that side. Here's the Fisto figure. My thought process is, you know, they're probably putting these, or they put these figures in the past with tissue paper to protect, I guess, the outer shell here, so that when you remove it, people aren't going to have it all scratched up. Now, this doesn't look like it's all scratched, but as an adult collector, that's one thing that I could probably imagine them doing. As you see, no tissue paper in this one. But here we have Fisto, the heroic hand-to-hand fighter. Now, Fisto, it was a character that, you know, I never really paid much attention to in the cartoon, but I had the toy. And one thing that was actually kind of funny is that the old vintage toy, this little giant fist could actually come off. And I must have got him at like a second-hand store or a flea market or something, because I never had that big giant fist. He was just a regular character. I mean, he really wasn't Fisto or anything because he didn't have his fist. But I always played with him and kind of imagined it as if he was like a battle-damaged person or something. Like he lost his arm in a great battle. And that's really how I always kind of played with him. So I'm really happy to finally have a new version for him. Really nice kind of packaging that we're kind of used to with Matty Collector. Flip around here on the back, and you see other figures that are in the line. You see King Randor, Man-at-Arms, Manny Faces, obviously Fisto, Teela, and Buzz-Off. And we learn that Fisto's real name is Malcolm, the older brother of Duncan, Randor's first man-at-arms. Malcolm served under King Miro during the Great Unrest, but was wounded in battle and stricken with magical amnesia. Wandering through Eternia, he settled in the Mystic Mountains in a mining settlement, unable to piece together how he lost his battalion. His life changed when the Snake Man attacked his town, and he helped to save the Masters of the Universe from their trap. But in doing so, Malcolm shattered his right hand. In gratitude, Duncan replaced it with a robotic strong arm. Now known as Fisto, he is made up with his brother and fights as a heroic member of the Masters of the Universe, smashing evil with his giant knuckles. So we find out that actually this is Duncan's brother, which makes sense. That's probably why I like this guy so much, because Duncan was probably my favorite character in the whole He-Man cartoon. But there you have him. Let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Okay guys, so here we have Fisto opened up and out of its packaging. And right off the bat, I gotta tell you that some of the reviews that I saw about this really hyped this guy up, saying that this is just about a perfect representation of Fisto, that this is exactly what Masters of the Universe classic figures are all about. I completely disagree with that. My biggest problem that I have with this, and it's probably going to seem very minor, but his hair is brown. The vintage toy, along with the character itself, had red hair. Even in the 2000X series, his hair was red. I'm sorry, that's brown hair. That's how my hair looks, and my hair is brown. I don't see red tones in there. I see lighter brown tones in there. And that's really kind of unfortunate. Now that being said, the face sculpt is absolutely stunning. That might be one of the best faces I've seen on a Masters figure in a very long time. Now in terms of detail, that's what Masters figures are all about. But the fact that he doesn't have red hair really destroys that detail. One other thing, which others have said that they love this attention to detail, is that if you take a look, this arm is the standard arm for Master male figures. This one itself is actually bigger. I don't know if you can see that. I mean, the bicep on it is actually bigger than the previous one, and you have some veins bulging out, which looks really cool. But one thing that you might be able to pick up on camera, this is not the same color skin tone as the actual shoulder. I don't know if you can pick that up very well. I mean, you see, this is a much more uniform skin tone. This one, you can see, I mean, looking at the bicep, I mean, this has a much more pale look to it than this one does. Hopefully that's coming across on camera. No, I love that attention to detail. I love the fact that they give this arm a bigger size. I mean, and you can really see it on the tricep here. I mean, that's just big and bulging. I mean, that's pretty big itself, but you see that one is just much better. Now, I love that, but again, it doesn't match the skin tone. So that really kind of throws me off. I really am not a very big fan of that. Maybe it's not coming across very well on camera, at least on mine, but it definitely in hand looks pretty bad. One minor personal nitpick is this fist doesn't actually remove. Oh, wait a minute there, fella. Wait a minute there, big guy. Because thanks to my good friend JT Mitchell, I actually learned something. This fist actually does remove. Believe it or not, yes it does. All you have to do is really kind of give it a good tug. Rotate it, and pop! It actually does come out. And as you can see, all it really is this arm, or the lower arm I should say, of the regular figure. You see he still has his bracelet thing on here. So the only real kind of newly molded piece would be the bicep area. But as you can see, it does actually remove. Now one thing that you're going to not notice, well, you might actually notice if I use a flashlight, there isn't a peg inside there. It's just a empty hollow cavity. What actually holds it, you can kind of see around the inside there is a little rim. Not this top one, there's a middle rim right inside there that actually kind of hugs the upper section of his bracelet right here. And I keep knocking him over. So when you want to put it right back in, that's what you do. And you kind of peg it in there. It's a little bit tough to get in there, but give it a little rotate and it'll snap right back on there. And it's the same level of articulation, it just doesn't actually have a peg. That's absolutely wonderful, and a minor little tiny nitpick like that I had for personal reasons now completely goes away. Although I did just kind of notice got a little scrape on there. That kind of sucks. It does come with this really nice kind of sword, which is just a purple kind of metallic repaint of the sword that we got from Triclops. The other problem that I have is this big gigantic sword. I mean, this is very heavy, this is heavy duty. It's really cool. I love the fact that they got like this little fist on here. I mean, that's really kind of neat. But he puts it in like so, okay? The only hand that he can actually hold it with is this hand. So he's reaching over this way to try to grab it. Really, it should be this hand that comes back there and grabs the sword. So they, in my opinion, they have this on the wrong way. They should have it the other way, especially since you can't hold anything with this. And that's the other problem. Big, gigantic sword, you know, I wish he could hold it on this hand, but instead, he has to hold it on this one. And, I mean, it's really... I mean, it's an awesome looking sword. I mean, the sword's really very cool, very massive. I love the way that it looks. I just wish he could hold it in this hand. I mean, that makes sense. A big, gigantic sword like this, being held in this big robotic arm with a much stronger arm. I mean, he's going to hold it better in that arm. I don't care what anybody says. So that's definitely something that really does kind of bug me. Now, one pose that I actually do kind of like is, and I saw this, I can't remember who else did this, but somebody did this, and if I can get it in his hand, and these are really tight, and it's kind of, there we go. I love this look. I mean, I think that's absolutely cool looking. Very awesome. Now, the other thing that's really neat about this, and I'll be honest, there are a lot of good points about this, is that in case you didn't like the original vintage figure, they do come with some added accessories to allow you to really make him look more like his 2000X version. You just pop his head off, and you have this extra head, which, here, I'll show you. I mean, the faces are basically identical. The only difference, really, is he's got this really cool kind of headpiece, which is really nice. You got the nice rivets going all the way through it. But, I mean, the head sculpts on these are just phenomenal. And you just peg this right back onto the ball joint. That's really tough. There we go. You know, so now you can have that look. Also, you have this really kind of cool belt, which I really do like. I mean, this is the front of the belt. And then on the back, you have a nice little book. Kind of like a flask or something, or a bottle, and a little pouch that opens up like so. Then you just bring this around here, and you attach it right to the back like that, and I mean, I really like the way that that looks as well. I mean, that's very cool. Definitely something that, you know, is really what Masters figures are all about. I mean, giving detail and giving customization and abilities to really kind of make your best looking figure, or at least in your opinion. Now, me personally, I don't care for this all that much. I mean, I like how that looks, but I do really like the vintage look. So that's going to go right on there, and I just prefer that look more than the 2000X version. Now, in terms of his articulation, his head's here on this ball joint, so you get a full range of motion there and everything. Arms go in and out. They rotate all the way around on the little peg and swivel. Rotates at the bicep, and again, I mean, if you bring these out, I mean, you really can see the size of this guy's bicep on this side is much bigger than that one. Just absolutely awesome. Bends at the elbow, rotates at the wrist. Same thing with here. He's got the same amount of articulation. He rotates a little bit higher up on the arm as opposed to the down here lower where the wrist is. Rotates at the waist, in and out. I mean, this is sort of soft. I mean, it's softer. Forward and back. You also rotate at the upper hip area. Bends here at the knee. Rotates right above the boot. And this is really tight. I feel like I'm going to break this. But his ankles goes forward and back, and then they have a little bit of pivot as well. So the articulation on these, always top-notch and absolutely wonderful. Now, the unfortunate nature of this, he doesn't have anywhere you can store this. I mean, this just, it doesn't store here. I mean, I guess you can kind of hook it right there. So, I mean, I guess that's some kind of storage. So that works, I suppose. But when it comes down to it, this figure is absolutely one of my favorites. Mostly because it has so much tie into my childhood. And the addition of this big giant sword, I mean, I absolutely love that. I'm not a big fan of these bits, although I do like the way they look. It just kind of destroys the classic look for me, and it's not something I'm really all that into. Now, there are minor problems that I do have with the figure, such as the different tone there, the head not having the right hair color, especially in the head, you know, the head area and the beard. I don't particularly like the fact that this whole back holster thingy seems to be going the wrong way. But all in all, this is a really nice figure. It really does nicely capture the look of the vintage figure, and if you use these heads, it does capture the good look of the 2000X series. It just, like I said, depends on which way you want to display them. But when it comes down to it, I think that minor things such as the hair color, the different skin tone here on the right arm, and the whole back holster thing, I think those are just minor little things that they shouldn't overlook. So that being said, that really kind of puts a damper on this figure. And while I do recommend them, it is a little bit of a disappointment because it doesn't give us what I really think the Masters line gives us, at least when they get the figures right, that being total accuracy in a nice classic updated look. They kind of dropped the ball on this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, this has been Optibotimus. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you later.